everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
Okay, so this is our December wrap-up. Like, this is the end of the year. I know, I'm just blown away. This year has gone by so fast. And, like, here we are at the end of December. So today we're going to be going over our top 10 total, but top 5 books each that we read in the month of December in order from 5 to 1. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We still are doing our Road to 1K giveaway. The next level is 1,000. And at 1,000, what are they getting, Mandy?
We have very generously given to us by Karen Crompton herself, her five of her books. So it doesn't include Echoes of Him, which is her newest release, but it has all the other books she's written, which, trust us, you want those books. They are phenomenal.
Yes. So thank you, Karen. Once again, that's just awesome that she sent that. And then we have other surprises along the way between now and 1,000. So just make sure you're subscribed because you're going to want to be here for those. Trust me. Just are. So, okay, let's talk about December.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Okay, so how was your...
It was a busy month outside of reading for me. So I was actually surprised to see I still managed to read 30 books. I did do a lot more audio this month. While I know you do while you wrap presents, I don't. But I was doing it while I was doing like household chores. I painted some in my house, so it was nice to listen to a book while I was painting. It really makes that like tedious task of like painting go by really quickly.
It does.
And just other stuff. So that's how I was able to get to 30, I think, is because I did audiobooks.
Yeah, and how many 5 stars did you have?
5.
Which,
but
makes it
my so 5-star reads are all really good. So there's no like, I could probably, if you asked me to re-rate these again, I would probably be able to. The top one is going to stay there, but the other 4 could easily move around. They were all really good 5-star reads. So there's no pity 5-star reads there.
No. Okay.
What about you?
I read 38 books total. But I mean, I was listening to audio while wrapping presents a lot. And so, and like a lot of those were Ice Planet Barbarians, and those I can get through at the speed that we listen to, the, you know, at 3.5 times speed or 3 times speed. You can get through those like in 2 hours. So, you know, good old Christmas present wrapping for me. So I did get through quite a lot.
And then how many were 5-star?
11.
Wow.
And you know, I always say, like we say, it's actually really, it is so much harder when we have more than 5-star reads in a month, because my top one is my top one. Like there's no arguing that. But my number 2 and 3 are easily interchangeable. I'm like, I love all of these books on my top 5, and there's even some that didn't make the top 5 that I absolutely love, but the top 5 are my top 5, and they are really good, really good. So yeah. So let's get started.
Okay.
Okay. So is that me? Am I going first?
Sure.
Like always.
And on a side note, because I listen to a lot of audio, I've used almost all my Audible credits. And so I was perusing the Audible Plus catalog. There are a lot of Ruby Dixons in there that you can get for free if you have an Audible subscription. So if any of you have been listening to our 1-minute bookrecs this month and we're like, wow, I need to read or listen to some Ice Planet Barbarians, you can get a lot of those titles for free. I was surprised to see how many there were in there.
Yeah, that was way before, like, I bought them when they came out. So I always have them. But I noticed that now and I'm like, dang. But you know what? I bought them. I supported Ruby. I'm good with it. So I always have them.
Oh, so, and Don't Kiss the Bride was in there for free. So I grabbed that.
There's some good things. There's always good deals right after Christmas.
You have to just search. But the Audible Plus catalog was looking pretty good when I was looking.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, ready?
December wrap-up.
Okay.
Yes.
So I ordered this book from the author at the beginning of December because it's a bind up, and it still has not arrived. Like I ordered it when I was in California, so the first few days of December, and I'm a little. I noticed something about. I think it was something just came out for December, so that's why she's behind getting them out. But I still wish my book were here. Let me just get that out there. I wish my book were here, but it's not. But we're still going to talk about it because it was still a favorite. And that was Pack Darling by Lola Rock. This is an Omega verse. This is obviously reverse harem, but this book is all about the angst and just, yes. Okay, so this is about Lila. She's living in like this school that they have for Omegas in this world. And at this school, they like tell the Omegas, this is how you get an alpha. You have to, be prim and proper and subdued and all this other stuff. And she does not want to present as an Omega. She hasn't yet. She's a dancer. She's starved her body for several years so that she won't go into like the full presentation ready to have a heat kind of situation, because she doesn't want to pack. I can hear Mandy laughing because she doesn't want to pack. And she's like 21. She's one of the oldest people at the school, and she is not having it. But the people who run the school have not treated her very well. She is what they consider a darling, which is her last name, because her mom basically sold her to the school, so she's an orphan, and they don't treat the orphans as well as they do the kids that are wealthy. The parents pay for them to be there. And so she's referred to as a darling. And so she is bullied. She is treated extremely poorly at the school. She has some trauma from that. But the powers that be that run the whole thing say, it's time. This is ridiculous. You need a pack. And so the people who run the school, the people who actually run like their government kind of thing, it's a pack of guys. They're like, you know what? Our boys, our sons need an Omega. They need a female Omega. And so they arrange for them to meet. They arrange for them to bring her into their fold as their Omega. And they don't want it. They have a male Omega. So they don't want her there at all. Now, because she's always scrubbing her skin and she's tried to keep her Omega status on the down low and all that stuff covered, they can't sense that she's their fated mate. But the minute she senses them and smells them, she knows that they are her mates. But she doesn't want to step on the toes of their male Omega, and she doesn't want to cause a problem in the group. And so it's a duet. It was extremely angsty, and oh my gosh, I loved it so much. Like it's a very slow burn. Things don't happen till the second book, but there's a lot that happens in the book. Just the sexy times don't happen till the second. Stop laughing. It's good.
Okay.
You just need to give it a shot.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
My number 5 book of the month was A Pucking Wrong Christmas by C.R. Jane. This is a novella. You definitely need to read this after you've read A Pucking Wrong Number and The Pucking Wrong Guy. It's about Christmas, obviously, and it's just kind of a glimpse into Ari and Walker and Lincoln's lives again. And it mainly focuses on Lincoln and Monroe. Monroe hates Christmas, and Lincoln is setting out to change her mind on that. So don't want to give anything away. It's pretty short, but it was a great Christmas read. I really enjoyed it. It complements the other 2 stories very well. But again, you would not probably enjoy it at all if you've not read the other 2.
Okay.
So really quick wrap up there on that one. But
that was good. You got that in quickly.
Yes.
Okay. Does that mean I can talk more?
No.
Oh,
but
okay.
If you enjoy those guys, you wouldn't really enjoy this book. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. All right. So my number 4 on my list is Veiled in Hate by BJ Alpha. So this one is a forced marriage situation between both participants here. So this is Luca and Camille. So Camille's not identical. Her twin brother, their boy and girl, that's not anyhow. Her twin brother is believed to have killed Luca's sister. And when that happened, Luca started a war. So these 2 rival mob families have been at war for several years, and lots of people have died and lots of things have happened. So because of that, because Luca started this war, and Luca, we meet him in, is it Tate or Shaw? Shaw, in BJ Alpha's Shaw. And you don't have to read Shaw before you read Veiled in Hate, but it definitely sets up the book where you can see how ruthless Luca is. But he is not a good character. He is not a nice guy. He's an absolute jerk. He's very cold and calculated. And he has, murdered all these people that Camille loves in her family because he started this war. And so they hate each other. But they're the dons of both mafia families come together and they say, we want this war over with. So you two are getting married, whether you like it or not. And they definitely don't like it, but Luca doesn't like it even more than Camille. Camille has been going to school. She's worked, I can't remember if she was on her way to being a doctor or not, but she has to leave school when all this happens. She knew it was coming, but she has to leave school right towards the end. And she's just not happy in the situation. But part of the reason why she's not happy is because Luca's such a dick. He is so cruel to her. I'm like, he is cruel to her. He refuses to get her pregnant, even though that's part of the thing. Like, they want them to have an heir, and he refuses to mix his blood with hers, and that is a direct quote. So it is very, like, if you want one of those angsty, jerky mafia men that, finally sees the error of their ways eventually, but it takes a long time, this is it. I loved this book so much. Mm-hmm.
My number 4 read is also a jerky guy. He's not in the mafia though.
Oh man, but I might be able to make an exception.
But he's a jerk.
I like him when they're jerky. Not in real life. No, that sounds really bad. Stop it. Okay, tell me about it.
Okay. Anyways, so my next read is River Wild by Samantha Toll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I got that right. And this is about Carrie. Carrie is in a very abusive relationship, and her husband's a police officer. And so she feels trapped because nobody believes what's going on. And he is very controlling, very manipulative, and very good about making sure bruises and things like that aren't visible. And then Carrie learns that she is pregnant, and she decides, this is it. I have to get out of here. I'm not raising a baby like this. And if I don't leave now, he's going to know I'm pregnant and he will never let me go. So she goes on the run and moves far away into a place where she is convinced he will not look for her. And she gets to town by bus. Like, I mean, this is like, one of those types of escapes. And when she gets there, she's able to rent a house right next to this really jerky guy. And she tries to talk to him and be neighborly, and he's just an ass. Like, he is not nice. He's just a jerk. He's very closed off. And so she's like, oh, this is interesting. And then one night she sees a dog drowning in his pool. So she goes over there and saves the dog. And he, for whatever reason, begrudgingly kind of helps her with this situation, which begins their somewhat of a friendship. And from there, things progress. So this is more of a slow burn. River has had a lot of trauma in his life. So he's definitely a broken hero. So we can totally understand why he's closed off and, that jerkish, grumpy vibe. Like, this is, I use this for Grumpy Sunshine for a readathon, but he takes grumpy beyond like grumpy. And it takes a while for his walls to kind of come down. But, I really love the story. It was really good, obviously, because it's my, what was it? Number 4? Yeah, number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you ready to tell us about your top 3rd book of the month?
Yes, but
Number
I'm
3.
like, I just want to make it clear that 2 and 3 are interchangeable. And I had the hardest time trying to decide which one to put in 2 and which one to put in 3. So pretty much they're tied for the spot. But number 2 spot, we're just not going to even have a 3 this month. But okay, so let's start. I can't help it. I don't know. Okay, so this one is called Take Me With You. It's by Nina G. Jones. This is extremely dark. So definitely check trigger warnings. This takes place in I think it was 78 or 76, mid to late 70s. And this is about Vesper and Sam. So Vesper is a nursing student, and I think they're right out of the San Francisco area or Sacramento area. I can't remember 100%, but they're they're there in California. And she's got a boyfriend who's in med school, and they've been together since they were in high school. And she has a little brother that she helps take care of because he has cerebral palsy. Her mom was a hippie and has now gotten remarried, or she grew up in a commune, but now she's gotten married, and she and her husband travel all the time. So she leaves Vesper alone with her little brother all the time, and she's pretty much his sole caregiver. And then you have Sam, who is, he's crazy. He is definitely off his rocker. And because of trauma and stuff that he had when he was young, his thing that he does is he will stalk a couple for months. And he goes into their home at night when they're sleeping, and he like figures out where everything is in the house, and he'll leave things behind, like duct tape or rope, or, things like that they would never think. Like, he puts them in strategic places where they wouldn't be like, hey, why is that there? Like, they would just never notice. And then after he's planned out his thing for a few months, he breaks into the house. He'll have, in the middle of the night, he has the woman tie the man up. He assaults the woman. And this is how he gets his kicks and he gets his thrills. He like eats their food, and then he leaves their house early in the morning. He leaves them all alive, but So Vesper, he sees Vesper one day in a grocery store with her brother. Now he has his own issues and his own scarring and some things that had happened to him when he was younger. He barely talks, and so he sees the way Vesper is with her little brother, and he is immediately drawn to her. Like, she is his ultimate prize. Like, she's it. She's the ultimate. So he starts stalking her, starts getting ready to do this to her, and then realizes that the boyfriend's over at the house one night while he's watching them. He watches through windows. That's his thing. And he sees that something is going down between the boyfriend and her. And so he acts irrationally, and he breaks in that night to do his thing. And when he's in the middle of getting everything, like, taking her to a separate room to do what he's going to do and all that other stuff, something happens that puts her little brother in danger. And she says, take me with you, instead of, doing, hurting somebody. And so that's what he does. He is completely unprepared to take her, but he does. He takes her to his house, and he keeps her captive for about a year. So, and there is a lot that transpires. And when I say check triggers, I am not saying that lightly. I mean it. Check your trigger warnings. But oh my gosh, this book is so good. If you can handle the content, the book is so good. I just want it stated clearly that I do not condone any of this in everyday life. I do in my book, though. Oh, good.
Okay.
Are you worried about me
now? No.
Okay.
All right. My number 3, it's not dark, but it is hockey.
Okay.
And it was good, obviously.
Okay.
So I have Puffed Off by Helena Hunting. This is about Lance and Poppy. And in previous books, we see a little tiny snippet of Lance having something going on with Tosh, the personal trainer. Then she ends up out of the picture, and people are like, wait, why did she leave? That sort of thing. And I was always like, ooh, I can't wait to read this story. Like, the personal trainer and him, I think she did like massage too. Like, they should not be hooking up. This is going to be fantastic. So I was a little bit surprised to see that it was not going to be Tasha as his, love interest. It was going to end up being Poppy. But we start off seeing him with Tosh, and oh my gosh, then I understand why we don't want him with Tosh, because Tosh was not a good person. So there's some turmoil going on in his life, and he is just kind of really struggling. He wants a relationship, but he doesn't really know how to do relationships. He's had some trauma in his past, which makes him weary of women and being touched and things like that. And then we end up with him having to go see Poppy for a massage because before a game, and he's basically threatened by management, like, you have to go do this. So he goes, and he's really surprised that when Poppy like touches him, he doesn't freak out like he normally does. And he's just, there's like some sort of, chemistry between the two of them. It's not necessarily like he's lusting after her. There's like a deeper connection a little bit. And so he decides that he's going to try and pursue things with Poppy. Poppy is like, I can't pursue things with you if I'm also treating you like this. Does not, this isn't how it works. So there's a little bit of stuff for them to navigate through as they do that. And for him to really learn like how you function in a healthy relationship. So I just really enjoyed this story. I was rooting for Lance the whole time. He's probably my favorite character in that whole series. I've now completed the series, so I definitely think he's probably my favorite. I loved it a lot. It was good. And Helena Hunting, she's just hit or miss for me. I either really like her books are either like 5 stars for me or they're like a 3 star. There's really
Mhm.
not a lot of in between, I'm
Yeah.
finding.
Yeah, definitely. Same. Yeah. All right. My number 2. This book just came out on the 28th. But I had it as an ARC, and oh man. So that is The Daymakers by Grace McGinty. So this is a reverse harem, or why choose rock star romance. And this is about our heroine, who is Charlotte, and she is, in the beginning of the book, so it's not a dark romance, but there is some on-page abuse in the first chapter. So the first chapter or so is a little difficult to get through, and then from there we go. But she's dating this guy. They're at a bar one night. He thinks that she's flirting with the bartender because she asked for a glass of water or something stupid like that. And so he literally beats the crap out of her. Like, she thinks her ribs might be broken. She's, bloodied. She's a mess. She gets away from him. It's not the first time he's hit her. He is a lawyer, and he works for this firm, and he just gets away with everything, even when she's tried to report him and stuff. So she runs, and they're near a venue that has a concert playing. She actually, to get away from him, she even says, this is going to hurt, and I don't know that I can do this, but she scales a fence and then hides under a bus. Well, the security guard, or who she believes to be a security guard, is walking past the bus, sees the boyfriend trying to chase after her, and runs him off and tells him to get the heck out of there. And then he pulls her out from under the bus because he knows she's under there. And that is Shep, and he is a manager for the band, and he's also the head of their security. So Shep takes her to their medic, who's a woman, and she's married to the guy who helps run the band, or he works for the label. And they want to help her, so they keep her for the night. And they're trying to set her up, like, make sure she's okay to go the next day. And they take her out to breakfast, and they're talking about this band. Now, the band is 4 members. They all wear masks. Nobody knows their identity except for their extremely small inner circle. And it's being kept private. That's part of their gimmick, that nobody knows their identities. And so they wear these masks. And so they're running into problems where, when they're hooking up with groupies are trying to lift the masks off. And then they have to have them sign NDAs, and they have to pay them a lot of money to keep their mouths shut, and all that good stuff. So they're trying to figure out what to do. And they're like, well, we should probably just have one girl for all of them. And Charlotte pipes up and is like, I'll do it. It'll get me away from this guy who's trying to hurt me, and it'll get money in my pocket at the end of the tour. And so she agrees to be their fun time gal while they're on the tour. The thing is she can't know their identity either. So she either has to be blindfolded when they're around, like, and we're talking like sitting on a bus just driving down the road. Either she has to be blindfolded, or they have to have their masks on at all times. And so this is for all them girlies out there that love to watch Book Talk and see all of the guys in the masks, because this does it for you. There's a lot more to the storyline. It's really good, obviously, because it is my number 2. But oh yeah, Grace can do no wrong in my book. I love her writing style. Her writing style is just It's like how we were talking about the other author that we love in the writing style. It's not that the writing style is simple. It's just relaxed. It's easy to get into. It's easy to, it flows.
It sucks you in.
Sucks you in. And it's just, it's not complicated. She can write an amazing story, and you're just there from the get-go. Before you know it, it's over. So, yeah. What's your number 2?
My number 2 read of December was Surviving Rain by Shay Savage. Okay, so this is about Rain and Sebastian. Rain has paid money with some friends to go on this yacht that Sebastian runs with a crew. He's like the captain, he owns the boat type situation. So I kind of envisioned below deck when I was thinking about what this situation looked like. And then we fast forward just a little bit into the book, and Sebastian wakes up and the ship is capsizing, is going down. And so he hurries off the boat. Everybody else appears to be gone. So he jumps into a life raft, and it looks like the other life rafts are gone. So he's hoping everybody is safe. And then he sees Rain floating in the water. So he pulls her up on to the raft with him. And this is how the two of them survive this situation. But what makes the story really compelling is that Sebastian is a raging alcoholic, and he's not necessarily a nice guy. He has reasons for why he's this way, and it takes us a while to figure out, like, get beneath all his layers through the story. But you have a raging alcoholic, like, and he is very open that he's an alcoholic, and so he starts having withdrawals pretty quickly. He's not nice to Rain, but the two of them forge kind of like, I mean, they're forced to survive together, and so it really bonds them. And this is their story of that bonding, of them surviving together, and eventually they get rescued, which is going to cause Sebastian extreme turmoil because he does not feel like he is a man worthy of Rain, and he doesn't know how they go back to their lives. So I just really loved the whole story. I read both books and it was just phenomenal. Loved it.
Yeah, I liked it when I.
Hence why it's number 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so knowing what you've read this month,
Mm-hmm.
I think we have the same number 1s.
We do.
We do. Yeah. So we'll just do those together. Okay. I stayed up until, was it 1:30 last night reading this book because I could not put it down. I am in love with the main male character. Oh my God, this book.
Yes.
And what is it?
Echoes of Him by Karen Crompton. It's number 2 in the Cold Neptune series. So you really should read Lyrics of Her before you read this one. It could definitely be a standalone. You already know that Kale's in a band, that he's got a problem and they forced him into rehab. But if you read Lyrics of Her, you kind of see more of what's happening in the band and why we've gotten to this point. So you definitely can read it without, but it just makes the whole universe flow a lot better if you've read Lyrics of Her.
Yeah.
But as soon as I found out that it was going to be him falling for his therapist in rehab, I was like, yes. Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah. My favorite part, and we talked about this a little bit last night when I was in the middle of reading it, was his inner dialogue.
Yes, Kale mine too.
Is hilarious. Like, chapter 2, there's this scene in chapter 2 where they're in group therapy and Kale's like, oh, so that's so and so over there, it's a uppity rehab. I can't remember if he was a district attorney or something, but he's like, and he's addicted to masturbating. I didn't even know that was a thing, and apparently we're not supposed to say that out loud. Oops, my bad. Like, he does these things and he says these things in his brain that I'm just dying. Like, I loved him as a character. He was that cocky bad boy as well, but he also had his trauma. And I know when I told Karen, okay, I'm starting this, she was like, oh, I'm worried. And I think it's because I read so much dark, she gets worried. But this book was amazing. I loved Lyrics of Her, which is the first one in the series. But this book blew me away. I mean, Kale definitely owns my heart right now. Like reading my daddy, Kale owns my heart.
I'm sure that you didn't cry, but I did get teary-eyed a couple of times during the book. One of my favorite parts was where he is in like therapy and he's thinking about something and he's like, if you're an asshole, clap your hands. And then I don't remember his exact words, but it's basically like, oh crap, I just clapped out loud.
Just clap my hands because he's in therapy with Sienna and she's like, Kale? Because he totally clapped his hands out loud. And I love, there's parts where when she gets him into therapy, trying to get him to open up, he has a very traumatic childhood. And being an alcoholic, is stemmed from that. And there's some things there that kind of resonated with me, but not that I had that too much growing up, but I'm just saying there's some things in there that I went, I can relate. Okay. But he, in order to get him to open up, she says to him, okay, you can ask me questions, which is not something a therapist typically does. But he comes up with the most inappropriate questions and she'll be like, Kale, get out. And like, that's like at the end of a few of the chapters. And I just die every time because it's just their dynamic. I loved them as a couple. I loved this book so much. Yes. Definitely going on the favorites list. So if you do anything this month, read this book. Read this book. It's so worth it.
It definitely is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was both of our number ones. So that should tell you guys something. So, yeah. Yeah. I think it's Karen's best writing to date. And I'm so excited to see what comes next.
I would agree. Definitely. I mean, Kale is a mess. And it takes him a little while to come around because he's used to women just like falling all over him and doing whatever he wants. And Sienna doesn't care that he is in a band. No. And that takes some adjustment for him.
Mm-hmm. And Sienna has her own demons that she's dealing with too. So yes. As typically, that's typically what happens in these books. We all have our past. We all have things we have to deal with. So, yeah. All right. So that was it.
Yes, that's our December wrap up.
That is our December wrap up. So, wow. The next wrap up we have will be January 2024 wrap up.
Well, actually, no, we're going to have our year end wrap up.
Well, I mean, monthly wise.
Because I'm still struggling with how I'm going to put all my
you and me both. Let me tell you guys right now, it is not easy coming up with our top books of the year. Okay. No. Totally not easy. So, but that will be coming out soon in a few days. So, yes. All right, guys. So that's it. That's what we have for you. That is pretty much a wrap for the year.
All right. So make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. And also comment below what was your top read in the month of December.
Yes. So we can add it to our TBR. That never ending TBR. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.